So you've got a Quest 3 or a Quest 3S, or you're thinking about getting one and you want to actually get the most out of it. We've been using these headsets for a long time now, and there are still things in here that most people have never found. Some are from the recent V74 and beyond software updates from the last few months, and most of those you won't find in other tips videos yet. We're going through 25 of them today, whether you just unbox yours or you've had it for a while. There are tips in here that even experienced VR users are going to learn something from. So let's get into it. I'm Shari, and yes, I'm back. Subscribe to join us beyond reality. Tip 1, and this is important, so I'm putting it first. The Quest 3 lenses work exactly like a magnifying glass. If direct sunlight hits them, even for a few seconds, it will burn a permanent hole in a display. Not a smudge, not something you can clean off, a permanent dark spot, and there's nothing you can do about it. So a couple of habits worth building: store the headsets face down or in a case, and be careful near windows, especially in the morning or afternoon when the sun is lower. And keep the cleaning cloth on the lenses when it's not in use. This is one of those things you learn the hard way once, so don't be that person. Tip 2. If things look a bit blurry or just slightly off, especially around the edges, check your IPD first. That's the distance between your eyes. When it's right, everything snaps into focus. When it's off, nothing ever looks quite as good as it should. On the Quest 3, you've got a dial on the bottom that lets you fine-tune it anywhere between 58 and 71 millimeters. On the Quest 3S, it's more limited, you get 3 fixed positions. But here's a small trick: if you move between lenses slowly, you can actually land somewhere between those clicks and dial it a bit better. One easy way to tell it's wrong: straight horizontal lines starting to look slightly curved or warped. If that happens, adjust it until everything looks straight again. There's a free phone app you can use to measure your exact number, and I'll get to that in tip 11. Tip 3. The way most people put this on is wrong, and it makes it less comfortable than it needs to be. Here's the right way. Hold the headset up to your face first. Then pull the back strap over your head. And tighten the back strap first so it's snug against the back of your skull. Then the top strap, and that way the headset is supported from behind and not just hanging off your face. On the Quest 3 specifically, there are depth adjustment buttons on the inside of the facial interface. Press the button and slide the lens assembly to move it closer or farther from your eyes. Do both sides the same amount so it stays level. And on the Quest 3S, that's handled by putting the included lens spacer in. One more thing: if you're planning to use this for more than 30 or 40 minutes at a time, a third-party head strap is the single biggest comfort upgrade you can make. The stock strap works, but for a longer session it puts too much weight on your face. A proper counterweight strap changes how the headset feels completely. Tip 4. Take the wrist strap on your controller and loop it over the top of the grip instead of around your wrist. Pull it snug above the grip button. Your hand is now locked in from above. What that means in practice: you don't have to hold it tight anymore. Your grip can be totally relaxed. For games like Beat Saber, where you are swinging constantly, it makes a real difference. Your forearm doesn't get as tired and your movement is more natural. Tip 5. Quick shortcuts worth knowing. Press the meta button and tap the trigger once. That takes a screenshot. Press the meta button and hold the trigger. That starts a video recording. Same combo stops it. Your files go to the gallery app on the headset, or you can find them in the Meta Horizon app on your phone if you turn on syncing. One more thing while you're in there: if you're recording, go to Quick Controls, Cameras, More Settings, and set the resolution to 1920 by 1080 and the bitrate to 14. I'd also set image stabilization on the lowest setting. If you want even higher quality, you can use the Meta Quest Developer Hub to go up to 4K at 60 FPS and 40 Mbps. Just keep in mind it can affect performance. That's the highest quality the headset can capture. The default settings are lower than they should be. Tip 6. On the Quest 3, you can double tap the side of the headset to switch to pass-through instantly. On the Quest 3S, there's an action button on the bottom right that does the same thing. Unless you've customized it, which you can now do. This sounds small, but you'll use it all the time. Someone walks into the room, your pet runs in, you hear something, double tap, you're back in the real world. Double tap again, you're back in VR. If the double tap isn't working on Quest 3, go to Settings, search Pass-Through, and make sure double tap for pass-through is enabled. It can sometimes turn off after updates. Tip 7. The Quest 3 gets about 2 to 2.5 hours on a charge. depending on what you're running. There are a few free ways to squeeze more out of that before you start buying accessories. First, enable battery saver mode in settings, general, power. Second, lower the brightness in display and brightness. Even dropping it a couple of notches makes a difference. Third, and this one is less obvious, go to settings, experimental, and enable content adaptive brightness. What it does is adjust the backlight based on how dark the current scene is. And if you're in a dim environment in a game, the display itself gets dimmer. It saves power and it actually makes dark scenes look better. Not worse, because there's less backlight bleed. All of this costs nothing, just settings you can enable right now. Tip 8. If you want real extra battery life beyond what settings can give you, a strap with power is the move. My go-to for a while is the Bobo VR S3 Pro. It's a head strap with a magnetic battery on the back. And that's the key part. If you have a second battery, you can just swap it out and keep playing. So instead of worrying about battery life, you can kind of stop thinking about it altogether. At the same time, the battery acts as a counterweight, so the headset feels way more balanced and less front heavy. It fixes comfort and battery in one go, which is why I keep recommending it. If you don't want to change your head strap, a USB-C power bank with a cable to the headset works just as well. I've been using the Kiwi Design P5000 and they are small, hot swappable, easy to attach and just does the job. You can use any power bank, but just make sure it supports at least around 20 watts, but ideally 25 or more. Otherwise it will only slow the drain instead of actually charging while playing. Everything so far adds extra weight to the headset and that's not for everyone.
If you don't mind using a cable, maybe you're playing more seated or you just don't want that extra weight on your head, then having a good one really matters. That's where iKnew comes in. Thanks to them for sponsoring this segment. This is their 16-foot USB-A to USB-C cable made for Quest 3, 2 and Pro. You can use it for charging, but it also works as a PCVR link cable with stable low latency visuals. Now, not all cables can handle both data and charging at the same time, so iKnew did something smart. They added a separate charging port for 3A fast charging, so you can just plug in a power delivery or quicker charge adapter and keep playing while it charges. It's also long and flexible and has this 90-degree USB-C connector that fits nicely into the headset and just stays out of the way. Plus, it feels sturdy overall, and iKnew is actually confident enough in their quality to offer a 3-year warranty as well. So if you want a solid cable, check it out with the link in the description.
Alright, let's keep going. Next up is one that makes mixed reality actually work properly, and it starts with scanning your room. Tip 9. Go to settings, environment setup, space setup, and when you do this, take your time. Scan slowly across walls, furniture, door frames, the floor. The quality of your mixed reality experiences depends entirely on how well the headset understands your room. Games like Wall Town Wonders and Demio actually use your room layout. If your scan is rough, the mixed reality kind of breaks down. If it's thorough, it works really well. One thing that came with the V74 update is multi-room scanning. You can now do one continuous scan. Walk through different rooms and the headset will automatically save each space separately. So if you've got multiple play areas, it's worth setting up.
Just maybe don't scan your entire house. You might not want to send all that data to Meta.
Yeah, fair enough. Tip 10. Now go to settings, environment setup, boundary. A few things worth adjusting here. You can change the color, adjust the sensitivity, or enable glanceable boundary. That one lets you look down slightly to see your boundary on the floor, so you always know where you are. One habit that saves us more than once is use something physical like a yoga mat or a pillow. And that way you can feel your position instead of relying on the boundary. I personally prefer that, since it keeps things more immersive without the boundary popping up all the time. Tip 11. Earlier, I mentioned measuring your IPD properly. Here's a simple way to do it for free. There's an app called iMeasure on iPhone. It scans your face and gives you a quick estimate. It's not perfect to the millimeter, but it's an easy way. For still the best free method, I'd recommend just using a mirror and a ruler. I'll link a guide below. Once you have your number, set your Quest to match. This is especially useful if you're sharing your headset. Everyone's IPD is different, and even being a millimeter or two off can make things look noticeably less sharp. Tip 12. You don't have to spend money right away. A few things to know. A lot of games on the Meta Store have free demos. Some of them are 30 minutes trials of the full game with a countdown timer like Unloop. Worth checking before you buy anything. Then there's App Lab, which is where indie developers publish games before they make it onto the main store. You can browse them at sidequestvr.com. Turn on free apps only, find something interesting, and it will link you directly to the Metastore page to install. And there are generally good free games: Gorilla Tag, VR Chat, Cards and Tankard. If you're new to the headset, start there before opening your wallet. Tip 13. This is something a lot of people don't know exists. If you buy a game and you don't like it or it makes you motion sick, you can get a refund. The rules? Under 2 hours of playtime and within 14 days of purchase. No questions asked. You request it through your purchase history on the Meta website, the Horizon app, and even on your Quest. If you're just getting started with VR and you're not sure what will work for you, this policy means you're not risking much when you try something new. Tip 14. The Meta Horizon app on your phone is more useful than most people realize. You can browse the store, buy games, and start downloads directly to your headset without putting it on. There's also an Install on Headset button that remotely launches whatever app you select. Useful if you want to start a download before you get home, so it's ready when you are. Tip 15. If you've got multiple things downloading, you can choose what installs first. Go to the app library, open the menu, then Downloads, and hit Prioritize next to the game you want. It will jump to the top of the queue. That's it! Simple, not very obvious, and it saves you from waiting on the wrong thing. Tip 16. You can have multiple windows open at once. The universal menu shows up to 3, but you can actually go beyond that by anchoring apps. Open a 2D app, then point at the bottom of the window, a menu will appear, go to More Options, then anchor. Now you can place it on a desk or wall and it will stay there. You can move it by holding the trigger on the edge and resize it using the borders. It basically works like a simple window manager. Back in the universal menu, you can drag windows to the sides and group up to 3 together. And if you'd rather have one big screen, open the same menu and select Focus View. That gives you a single large display instead of the split layout. Nice when you want to stay focused. Tip 17. Seamless multitasking also rolled out in a V74 update, and it's just a really nice feature to have. Before this, if you launched an immersive VR game, every 2D window you had open would disappear. Now you can keep up to 3 2D windows active and visible while you're inside a game. So you can have a browser page floating on your left, Spotify on the right, and still be playing. This is in experimental settings at the time of making this video. Make sure to turn it on there, it's called seamless multitasking. There's a small performance cost, so it works better with lighter games. Heavier titles might take a hit, but for anything casual, it's a nice quality of life change. Tip 18. Go to Settings, Tracking, and enable automatically switch between controllers and hands. Once it's on, you set your controllers down and wave your hands. And the headset automatically switches to hand tracking. Pick the controllers back up, it switches back, you don't have to do anything manually. The gestures: pinch to select, pinch and hold to scroll, open palm. This was added later, but if you hold the pinch while you have your palm open, you can also access a couple of shortcuts. Hide hands is new. The latest update, Hands 2.4, improves tracking speed quite a bit. Quick movements track better, throwing is more accurate, and there's less overshoot when you're pointing at something fast. It just feels noticeably smoother than before. Tip 19. Hit the camera icon in Quick Controls, then Cast, and from there you can send your VR view to your phone, a browser, or a Chromecast. You can also live stream directly to Facebook or YouTube now, and even read chat while you're in VR. If you're using your phone, you get a few extra controls. Tap the screen to access things like recentering the view or toggling pass-through. It's especially useful when you're showing someone else what you're seeing. And casting in general has become more reliable. It used to drop out more often, but it's a lot steadier now. By the way, are you on the Quest 3 or the Quest 3S? Let me know in the comments. I'm genuinely curious what the split is. Tip 20. This one is newer and most people have missed it. You can connect your Quest directly to a monitor using a USB-C cable or DisplayPort adapter and see your view on screen. The big difference is there's basically no latency compared to wireless casting. The image is sharper and more responsive, but right now it's limited to 1080p at 60 fps and there is no audio. And make sure your cable and device support DisplayPort alt mode. Not all do. If you're creating content or showing VR to someone, this is easily the cleanest way to do with the right setup. Obviously, I didn't have one here. Tip 21. If you have a gaming PC, you can play PCVR games wirelessly on your Quest. 3 options depending on your setup. Meta Horizon Link is built in and free. Just go to Quick Controls, Link, and connect to your PC. Steam Link is also free and is a bit more straightforward. You pair Steam VR with a code and don't need to install the Meta PC software. And then there's Virtual Desktop. It's $25, but it gives you the most control, which is why a lot of people end up using it long term. It really comes down to how much you want to tweak versus just getting up and running quickly. 2 things matter most for good wireless PC VR. First, connect your PC to your router with a cable, not Wi-Fi. Second, make sure your Quest is on 5 GHz Wi-Fi and close to the router. If you get those 2 right, most stuttering and lag will go away on their own. Tip 22. This replaced the old voice command system. Double tap the Meta button to activate it or in Quick Controls. What makes it interesting is it can see through the pass-through cameras. Hold up an object and ask, "What is this?" And it tells you. It can read text, translate things, and answer questions about what's physically in front of you in real time. Right now it's only available in the US and Canada. If you don't see it in your headset, check Settings. Meta AI, it may need to be enabled manually. Tip 23. Night Display adds a warm color filter that cuts down on blue light. It works both in VR and in pass-through. To turn it on, go to Settings, Display and Brightness. If you're using the headset in the evening or before bed, it's worth enabling. And if you haven't already, this is a good reminder to go back to tip 7 and turn on Content Adaptive Brightness as well. Both together make the late night experience a lot easier on your eyes. Tip 24. 2 apps that are less well known but worth knowing about. First is Quest Games Optimizer. It's a paid side-loaded app that lets you configure render resolution, GPU and CPU levels and refresh rates on a per game basis. The developer hand tests profiles for popular games so you're not just guessing at settings. To use it, you need to sideload the app with developer mode enabled. You can turn that on in the Meta Horizon app under Menu, Devices, your Quest headset, headset settings and developer mode. Second is Potent Immersive Media, which is free for 10 minutes every day. It's a spatial video app with a feed of 3D clips, travel footage, drone shots and nature. The standout feature is it can take any regular 2D video and convert it to 3D automatically, which you can do on your PC. The conversion is better than you'd expect. Tip 25. Surface keyword was added in the V85 update and it's pretty cool. You can use a virtual keyboard and touchpad on real surfaces in front of you. So you can type on your desk or any flat surface like there is an actual keyboard there. To set it up, you go to Settings, Experimental, then go to Devices, Keyboards and follow the setup for your surface. You'll get a keyboard overlay and a touchpad and both work better than you would expect. While you're in the settings, you can also turn on Show Keyboard to see your physical keyboard in VR.
I actually use that a lot in virtual desktop while working.
Ooh, yeah, that's where it really makes sense. That's 25. And for me, the USB-C monitor output still blows my mind. I had no idea that was even possible. And now I use it all the time when I'm showing Cass something. I'm curious, which one did you not know about? And if you've got a tip we've missed, drop it down below. I always go through these. If this helps you getting more out of your Quest, hit subscribe. There's a lot more coming.